And you know what it is. It's your boy Lionel, class of 2009, back with another episode of PV versus everybody. And listen, you know what's on our mind, all right? Coming off that hill is on our mind right now. And we're going to talk a little bit about it. We're going to talk about coming off that hill, all right, this weekend, Labor Day Classic, the 40th edition. Before we do, man, listen, if you're not following us on Instagram, not following us on Twitter, make sure you're following us on both platforms, PV _ versus _ everybody in both locations, in both places. If you are here already and you have not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and like the video. Go on like the video so it can push it out to other individuals so they can know to gather around so y'all can hear what's about to happen to the SWAC this year, all right? Because, listen, the goal is 1,000 subscribers. We're almost there. I think we're pushing like we almost at 1,000. That's all I know, okay, all right? So if you've been watching the channel, if you watch multiple videos and you ain't subscribed yet, listen, go on, hit the button. Just hit the button. It don't cost you nothing. Go on, subscribe to the channel, man, and show some love. And listen, before we get it started, and I invite my guest on up, man, I gotta let y'all know about the home team, all right? And first and foremost, that's PV alumni Jeff McKissick, all right? He's a Texas licensed loan officer with Fairway Independent Mortgage Company, and he'll help guide you seamlessly through the home buying process. See, many of us are unaware of our credit score, our true financial standing, but listen, that's okay. Jeff will help you develop a step-by-step plan so you can own a home sooner than you think. See, listen, many of us got credit issues, student loan debt, but don't let the fear of achieving new heights hold you back from getting the home of your dreams, perfect for your growing family and hosting those PV watch parties. So listen, get started now on taking the first steps towards your new home and taking the next big step in your life. Don't delay. Talk with Jeff today so you can be in your home tomorrow. And listen, after Jeff gets you right with the loan, you already know who to hit up. Hey, man, you got to hit your boy, all right? You know what I'm saying? And listen, We believe that just as God has a mansion for you in heaven, that he has a special place for you to reside while on this earth. That's why, listen, I just take it that I'm partnering with him to prepare a place for you. And listen, after we find that place, after we find the home that you believe is yours, listen, we got to make sure that we do some due diligence on it. And so that's why we got to hit up Big, man. So when you're thinking big about your home purchase and want a thorough assessment of your biggest investment, you owe it to yourself to contact Big. That's Blueprint Improvement Group. Big provides home inspections in the greater Houston area and is owned and operated by proud PV Mechanical Engineer alum Neil Harris. He has experienced inspectors who use advanced tools and techniques to assess every aspect of the property from the roof to the foundation. So visit thinkbig.com or text 713-259-0673 to book your home inspection. Support the team that supports the team. All right, support the team that supports the team. And then listen, when we're talking about supporting the team that supports the team, I gotta also let y'all know about what's coming up here very soon, October 4th. All right, from 12 to 6 p.m. We got the barbecue cook-off that's going to be benefiting Willow Ridge High School. All right, so listen, if you think you really like that on the grill, then make sure you hit up Big Z. All right, you got to hit up Big Z if you think you like that on the grill, man, because they're gonna have a barbecue cook-off. All right, they're also gonna have vendor spots out there for anybody that wants to come and showcase, right, the products that you got and that you're producing. And they have a fundraising goal. All right, they got a fundraising goal that they're trying to reach to. So everything helps. All right, the vendor fee is $150, right? But if you're looking to get into the cook-off, make sure you hit up Big Z. Got to hit up Big Z, right, about getting in the cook-off. 281-669-6802. All right, so make sure you hit up Big Z about the Willow Ridge barbecue cook-off. Some of y'all think y'all like that on the grill, all right? Some of y'all think y'all like that. Man, make sure you hit him up and get a part of this Willow Ridge cook-off. And listen, it's supporting our community. It's supporting something good, supporting that program there. And so it's going to a good cause. So with that said, I got to bring up my co-host for today. And listen, before I bring up the special guest, because like I always say on Sunday show, I try to keep my special guests out of problems they shouldn't be a part of. Okay, I try to do that. I try to be aware and keep them out of problems they're not a part of. So I don't want Mr. McKinnel to be a part of this. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for 5 seconds. Because I just gotta pull this up real quick for my guest, because somebody posted and said, listen, where's the game gonna be at this weekend? Are we sure it's TSU's day to use the timeshare on Shell Energy Stadium? And I can't believe that this TSU alum said, y'all are idiots. For some reason, you consider it a badge of honor to spend tens of thousands of dollars on a building y'all literally use 6 times in a 365-day calendar year. It's not it. Oh my goodness. I don't know how to respond to this, but I'm gonna let y'all respond to this before we bring up our guest and take it away. But it kind of just sounds like somebody that ain't got no stadium on their campus. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like to me.
That is what it sounds like. Tell the truth. I detect no lies.
They better be glad renters, Lionel. They better be glad renters Center don't come in there and get their furniture.
What furniture?
They aren't allowed to bring no furniture in there. Man, when you ever seen TSU on you ain't seen no TSU logos, no nothing. It's always orange in that stadium. Listen, if I ain't know nothing,
wait a minute.
TSU play game.
We talking about the Bar King. We talking about the Borrow Kings, because let me interject this real quick. We talking about the Bar Kings because ain't these the same folks call themselves trying to interject the little freshman shuffle?
Oh my goodness, that was crazy. I mean,
the little freshman shuffle, they gonna have the whole nerve to try to look towards PV like as if they done created something. I'm like, get to the back. Child, go lay down.
Oh
Go,
man,
I'm
listen,
about to go lay down.
listen, it's trouble. You got to come up. Got to come up with your own stuff, man. Got to be original around here. So listen, that's why I had to bring somebody on who knows about creating original content, and that's none other than my boy Zach McKinnel. How you doing, sir?
Good, man. Good. I appreciate you inviting me on the show, man. Looking forward to chopping up about PV.
Hey, man, we appreciate you for coming on. Obviously, love your assessments. Doing a lot of great work out there for all of FCS, right? Football, and so it's always great to catch your content. And now we finally got you on the platform. I know we're gonna have a great conversation. So before we get into it, man, we kind of talked about it too last year, and so I saw you because you did do your thing, okay? So I did want to let everybody know we are coming back with it. HBCU Fantasy Football League. All right, we are coming back with it. We tweaking little things up, but Zach was the reigning champion from last year. I mean, do you have any words of encouragement for your boy? So maybe I can get that throne this year. I mean, can you give me some advice or something? Because I think you almost won every single week. I think you probably only lost like 2 weeks, but that was probably it. That you'd have the most fantasy points.
Nah, man. All I can say is we going back to back. we ain't turning back, man. I want to win by. I want to double whoever's in second place. That's the goal this year, is to win by double than I did last year.
That's kind of disrespectful.
All right, okay.
You sound like Chris Dishman right now. You sound like Chris Dishman.
Yeah.
Okay, you kind of a little bit like Chris Dishman right now. But now, not only are we bringing HBCU fantasy football back, but y'all already know, man, the original. Hey, listen, the original. Where it started at. PV Fantasy Football. All right, this is going to be our 3rd year in a row with PV Fantasy Football. So, again, make sure y'all on the lookout for that. Get your picks in before the weekend. Just to remind y'all how the rules work with PV Fantasy Football, you're going to be picking one of each of these, right? One running back, one receiver. You got a flex player, which is either a running back or a receiver. Then you got a tight end. Got to pick one defensive lineman, one linebacker, and then you get to choose 2 defensive backs, right? So that could be cornerback, safety, right? Doesn't matter. So 8 players in total. We're going to gather those points up. Obviously, the point system is how it works, right? Rushing touchdown, 6 points. You get 0.1 points for every yard, all right? Receiving touchdown, same 6 points. Every reception is half a yard, and receiving yards are also 0.1 points. And on the defensive side of things, right, we also tweaked it a little bit, and we're going to actually give some points to, tackles for loss, sacks. We're going to also include those yardage loss as a part of those defensive totals. So kind of switching up, mixing it up there, making those defensive players a little bit more valuable this year. And the same thing for HBCU Fantasy League too as well. And also return yards. So you get an interception, fumble recovery. We're also including those return yards as well. So again, it makes the defensive players a lot more valuable this year as well. So if you have not participated, listen, it's a great opportunity to also just learn about the guys that's on the team. And so we're also bringing that PV Fantasy Football back again. So listen, look out for it, man. But let's get straight into it now. First and foremost, now I got an HBCU top 10 here. All right, and I want us to just talk about it. Right, you know what I'm saying? Where I went right, where I went wrong. You know what I mean? I'm gonna start with Mr. McKinnel because I know he's an all over FCS guy. Listen, I got Central slide in the first place. Obviously, we got through week 0. So a little bit of week 0 is involved in here, obviously. We got Jackson 2nd, South Carolina State 3rd. I got Alabama State in the 4th slot. I got Prairie View 5th. Then FAM, Norfolk, Southern, Alabama A&M, which I know I'm higher on A&M than a lot of people are. And then I got Morgan State in 10th. Mr. McKinnel, man, how would you switch this around? Or is this perfect like I know you really think it is?
Just a few minor corrections. I mean, I know how good NCCU looked last week, but I still would lean putting Jackson over them right now. I mean, especially as the reigning champs, they have so much returning until they lose. Like, it's kind of hard not to. Without any data points, it's kind of hard to move Jackson down any. I know Central looked good, but what happens if Central goes out this weekend and gets blown out by New Hampshire? Are we still thinking of them in the same, or was it more Southern not being really good? I think it could be one of the two. I am high on Central. I had them at 2. I would flip that. I'm actually not as high on South Carolina State as a lot of people. I'd probably have them just outside the top 5. I actually think there's a good chance that Morgan, Central, and possibly Norfolk could all finish above them if everything clicks with that Norfolk transfer portal class. But I
Wow.
do like you have Alabama State over FAMU. I'm a little bit bullish on Bama State. I know they lost a lot defensively, man, but I think they got a lot of really good pieces offensively coming back. And on top of that, too, I'm a little bit nervous at quarterback about FAM. So I other than that, I don't hate it. I'm glad that you have A&M and Morgan State in the top 10, though, man. I think those teams are two teams that are getting overlooked a bit. Morgan's quarterback, man, the guy who they have starting had an outstanding performance against Howard in the last week of the season. If he just is a mediocre quarterback, man, how good can Morgan really be with Eric Hunter in that defense? So just a few minor changes, but overall, I think these are about the 10 teams I would have in my top 10.
Now, is that the kid that came from JUCO last year that started the last game for Morgan?
Yeah, he's from like Hawaii or something.
Yes, that's the guy that I liked last year.
Yeah.
That's the guy that I talked about last year that I actually really liked, and I thought he would have won that battle. He didn't, but anyway, so it's gonna be interesting to see him this year, maybe get a full year with Morgan. So that's interesting. Brandon, what's your thoughts, man, on this top 10?
I have to go with Zach just because Jackson State, to beat a man, you have to beat the man. I will put Jackson State at pretty much number one. I dropped down North Carolina Central number two, just because of showing that they had. I'm kind of like Zach. I'm eager to see what this next game is going to look like for them. Are they going to lay an egg, or are they going to be competitive in that matchup? And I think pretty much the only thing that I would pretty much switch in terms of the actual, as far as 4 and 5, to be honest, I would probably pull Alabama A&M up, where at that number 7 spot, because we don't know exactly what they have on either side. But I'm gonna give Sam Shade the nod, with him being not, well, I'll put it this way. With Vic being the first time head coach, I'm gonna give Alabama him the nod with Coach Shade, because he has that experience and be able to get those guys rolling. So he knows what his system looked like. I think Vic is still trying to figure it out. I think they have talent. I think Vic has some talent where he is, but I'm eager to see what that'll look like. But I think pretty much where everything else stands, I'll leave it as is.
I got you. And my Cash sisters, what's your thoughts? Anything you would kind of switch around when you're looking kind of at where this top 10 looks?
Yeah, as far as me, I'm kind of like, what Brandon said. I was thinking the same thing, like with Jackson State and North Carolina. I have to kind of switch those two. Norfolk.
Not as high on Norfolk.
Well, well, no, not that. It's just you got to look at the fact that you got Vic coming in as a brand new coach. That can kind of go either or. So I think we give them a little bit too much, a little bit of love on this one. So I think we got to kind of bump them down. Kind of need to put Alabama State up a little bit higher.
Yeah.
That's just my take on that.
Mm.
4 and 5, I'm switching that. Sorry, I gotta switch that, but that's just my take. I'm done with it.
So you guys are. It seems like a lot of you guys are high on Alabama State. What is it about Alabama State that has you guys so high? I know Zach mentioned a little bit earlier. What is it for you that you look at Alabama State and say, man, I'm kind of bullish, to use the term that Zach used earlier?
Who talking about why we put Alabama State on number 4?
Yeah, I'm saying it sounds like you guys are all high on Alabama. Yeah, Alabama A&M and Alabama State, right? What is it about those two programs that you guys kind of believe in them a little bit? You know what I'm saying?
No. Let me rephrase that. I ain't high on Alabama State. They may be, but I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Let me rephrase that. I just said we switching 5 and 4. I've never been high.
Oh, okay. I guess I got.
So let's correct that lie.
Okay. All right. My bad. Hey, listen, my bad. Kayla say Bama State is the best show artist in the SWAC East. You know what I'm saying? Kayla definitely does not believe in Alabama State. He thinks they get way too much praise year in, year out. I'm high on Alabama State. Now, is anybody high enough to say that they actually got a shot against Jackson?
Boy, no.
Okay. All right. I guess.
I don't know. And the reason why I say I don't know, I'm not saying they beat them, but what I mean by I'm on the fence as far as I don't know what we're going to get from an Alabama State defense with Ryan leaving. Ryan, it's funny because Ryan and I grew up together. So that's my guy. But Ryan was an architect of a hell of a defense. So with that, I'll still give Jackson a nod. But with Ryan not being there and being the architect and being the one that's calling those plays on the defense side of the ball, I'm eager to see what that's going to look like from the new defensive coordinator. I think they still have good bones and the structure in place for them to be able to be stout on that side of the ball, because traditionally Alabama State has always had a great defense. It's just the offensive side of the ball that gives them trouble. But I still would give Jackson State the nod. But that game can go either way, depending upon if the defense if the defense can still hold on to that DNA that they have, and we get some good offensive play, at least halfway decent. I think they'll be in the game. I won't say they'll win it, but I think they'll be in the game.
Brandon, I'm glad you cleared that up, and I'm glad you cleaned that up, because here's the thing: when it comes to Alabama State, they defense they do pretty good, but when it comes to the offense, let's be clear, they kind of a little bit down in the dumps on that end. If they can clean that offense up, then they may can be able to do something. But yeah, I can't. Yeah, that's
And
all I gotta say about
just
that.
for the record, just because I'm in my personal little feelings, I ain't giving thee nothing. Okay, after all what thee said last week, I ain't giving thee nothing.
Well,
Because I'm EV all the way now. Okay.
Of course.
so Lee says State and FAMU are both going to be Jackson this year. That's probably that's a hot take right there. That's a very hot take. Isaiah Wilson says he doesn't believe in Andrew Body. Blue, what's your thoughts on Andrew? I mean, had 2 season-ending injuries, obviously. I think most people think the talent is there. You saw the North Carolina Central game. I have no idea why you don't really just allow him to continue to go off instead of kind of going back and forth between quarterbacks. I mean, do you believe that he kind of adds that element there that kind of makes them solidly at least second in your mind, right, in the SWAC East?
Yeah, I mean, listen, do I get the skepticism? Because 2 things can be true at once, right? Like, the skepticism should be there because he hasn't been able to be healthy. But guys, I mean, this is a kid that's the single season record holder in Texas Southern history for total offense in a season. And he ranks like 2nd or 3rd for passing yards. Like, the kid has done it in the SWAC when he stayed healthy. Now the problem's been, can he stay healthy, and does Bama State utilize him correctly? Because they ran like QB power like 900 times against North Carolina Central and got his shoulder knocked out of place. If they actually let him be a quarterback, man, imagine what he can do. Because if they don't know the run's coming, man, just imagine what he can do when the pocket breaks down if he's fully healthy. There's going to be plays like last year. They won 7 games, guys, with a 5'6" wide receiver playing quarterback as a true freshman.
That's true.
Even if Andrew Body isn't the superstar that some people think, if Andrew Body's just good, how many games could they win? That's a crazy comment, by the way.
That is crazy. I can't
Do something with him.
I can't deal with it.
It's too funny.
Yeah, I think when you look at Alabama State, right, and I keep saying, I mean, even that Jackson game last year, 16-10, that's a 16-10 game, right? And that's with a 5th-string quarterback who is a wide receiver. So you got to think that Andrew Body can at least give them more than what they got last year at quarterback. And so I'm bullish on Alabama State too. I know everybody's not as bullish as I am, because I'm bullish to where I'm saying they're going to win the East, right? But of course, I understand. I'm on that hill alone. It's okay. I picked Jackson last year when other people's picking Alabama State, though. I do want to mention that. I know y'all going to say you picked PV, but I did pick the East winner last year. So just to be clear, when everybody else was on this Caitlin Clark train with Alabama State, I was not there. I said that Jackson was going to win. So, just keep that in mind. All right. So with that said, man, let's move forward. Because I want to talk a little bit about title pie. All right. Now, listen, this is for everybody that don't understand. One, this will change weekly based on what we see, how the games we see played. This would change based on people getting knocked out, first of all, of even winning their division or winning their conference, right? So this changes. This is not something that's stagnant. This is something that can move around. But this is just coming into this year right now, week 1, where I think things are based on kind of how things line up. Right now, again, Zach is not high on South Carolina State. So I think he's going to look in already and say, I think South Carolina State's chances is way lower than what I'm seeing on this screen, right? But for me, I kind of think those are the 2 teams that really got a shot to win the MEAC. So that's why, to me, it's like, hey, 20% chance for each of those schools. I think you give Jackson a higher nod than the other schools in the SWAC East. because of what they brought back. Obviously, what's ahead of them. Then I got Alabama State with a slightly higher chance than FAMU, 8% to 7%. I mean, that's neck and neck. And then when you look at, you look on the west side of things, the two schools that's been back and forth the last 4 years, both at 10%, Southern and Prairie View. Even with Southern's loss, obviously it doesn't affect their opportunity and chance to make it to the Celebration Bowl, right? Because it wasn't a SWAC game. They still got a chance to get rolling down in the future. Do I believe it's going to happen? Absolutely not. But the point is, right, they got that opportunity. Then, of course, I got Alcorn and TSU coming up with 5% chance in the background. I'm going to start with the Cash Twins, man. When you talk about Celebration Bowl chances, right, this is just, when you look at across the landscape of the MEAC and the SWAC, who do you got? What teams do you legitimately believe have a shot and have a chance to get to the Celebration Bowl and win it?
This is a trick question.
Ask real questions.
Lord. Oh, you would have to ask me that. Ask us that. Honestly, that's so far. But if I have to be real honest, I'm looking at North Carolina, and
I would say for MEAC, I would say NCCU. If I was answering that right now, NCCU, and 50% chance it would either be where we're looking at right now for SWAC, either JSU or PVMU. No. Because reason why I'm throwing PVMU in there is because of how I'm looking at the structure of what we got now with the coaching staff.
That's a stretch.
And and with how looking at the structure of the football team, because I'm gonna tell you, Tracy and I was sitting back talking. I said, Tracy, as I look at the roster and as I look at the staff, and as I sit and I got a chance to look at some of the YouTube videos of the boys when they were, going through some of their drills and the practice, and then, and listening to Coach Jackson when he was, actually doing some of his interviews, I could tell a vast stark difference from what we're dealing with now versus what we were coming from, because it's a totally different pattern. So I was like, from what we talked about last time when we had our last conversation, it's fixing to be some competition. It's we getting ready to really come in and compete. So, y'all, I'm just excited. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. But if I had to predict it, I'm gonna say Prairie View they got a strong possibility to get to that Celebration Bowl this year. If they come in with the mindset of being hungry, come in to kill the penalties, to have a discipline on not coming in with those penalties, and if we come in and if y'all, with me being way up here, but coming in and we see a totally different team than what we've been seeing, because like I said, I'm tired of seeing this playing in the middle all the time. We have a strong opportunity to get to the Celebration Bowl. But on the MEAC side,
I'm going North Carolina.
I'm going North Carolina. My money is with North Carolina. That's because
it's a toss-up between JSU and maybe PV.
Yeah.
But Southern can kind of.
You don't see any other school on the east side even having a shot to kind of dethrone Jackson on the east. Not Alabama State.
And you know what? What's his name? Body.
Yeah, Andrew.
Andrew was that boy. That boy's cold. I'm just gonna give it to him. He cold. You know what? I don't really to be real with you. I don't even really want to call it. To be honest with you, I just don't want to call it.
You know what? Come back to me in about 2 weeks. Give me a good 2 hot weeks to get a little better. Give me good 2 hot weeks. Let me assess these boys, and then I can tell you what I really think.
All right, no problem. Hey, Zach, man, what's your thoughts? Who really got a chance if you have to name the teams? Is it just Jackson and CCU for you?
No, I don't. I won't say it was just them, but I would say I would probably give them about 70% of the pie.
Okay.
Like I would take a good bit of that percentage from South Carolina State and split it between Jackson and NCCU, then probably take some of the percentage from Southern as well. Not gonna after last weekend, I find it very hard to believe that like could Southern still win the West? I mean, heck, they've done it before, but I
Yeah.
just don't think they're on the level of a Celebration Bowl team. I didn't say anything during the top 10 because I didn't want to start this up in the chat, but there's a team that you got pretty low, and I don't think you've had them in the top 10 that I'm a little bit higher on than you. I would probably bump Alcorn's percentage up just a bit. I'd probably take the percentage from Texas Southern and split it between Alcorn and maybe even bump up like Alabama State like by 2%.
Got
I think Alcorn has a really, really good shot to be kind of a dark horse in the West. Everyone's focused on PV, obviously. Everyone's focused on Southern being the voted the preseason favorite. I think Alcorn's quietly put together a really, really good transfer portal class, and they sneakily have a ton returning. And that's a team that won 6 games last year. And the key for me when I try to make predictions, where are the games played? They get some of their biggest conference games at home, especially in division, right? They get Southern and PV in Lorman. That's huge for them. That's a big home field advantage. So I think Alcorn's sneakily a dark horse pick here for this segment in terms of the title pop.
That's a good point because we already know at Alcorn at home they come with their own referees too. So
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you
Zach,
said
you better fight, Zach. That's how you fight for your friend. That's how you fight. That's how you fight for your co-host. I like it. I love it. Brandon, what's your thoughts, man?
I would give a little bit more to Alcorn. I'm kind of like Zach, a little bit more. I would pretty much take Texas Southern out of the picture.
All together.
I'm just hey, you asked me
I'm
about.
high on Texas Southern. I'm not like I keep saying. I still am high on Texas Southern.
I'm not. I
don't know why.
I'm not. I'm sorry. Maybe a little. Look, I may be a little biased, but it's game week, and I'm not. For various reasons. But no. When you really think about it, I'm looking at it like this. Alcorn. When you play Alcorn at Alcorn, they are tough to beat at Alcorn. Like I'm gonna just be it. That they are tough to beat when you play them at Alcorn.
Speaking of Alcorn,
Especially now with the surgeon, when I played, it was different. It wasn't really anybody in the stands when I played them. We did beat them on the reservation, but the times that we did play them, it was still a tough game until towards the end. So I would give them a little bit more. Just because, like you said, those games can go either way, but they've done well with those bigger schools, like when Southern comes to town and we come to town. So I give them a little bit more than Texas Southern. As far as FAMU is concerned, I give FAMU a little bit more. Because people are forgetting that FAMU has some athletes that can go. It's just a question in terms of who their quarterback is going to be and how is he going to perform throughout that season with those games like Jackson. They play Jackson at home. So I'm gonna give FAMU a Florida boy, but I'm gonna give FAMU a little bit more of a nod over Alabama State. Like I told you, that it's gonna boil down to Alabama State being able to produce offensively, and also being able to stay true to their history as far as defensively, being that type of school. SU, I'm gonna give a nod to Prev. I'm gonna give us a little bit more over SU. SU is not a horrible team. I know most people will disagree. They're not a horrible team. I just feel like in certain areas, I think we just have a little bit more talent on our end from what I've seen, from what I watched them play. And it boils down to this: how are we going to perform this Saturday? And for what I've been behind the scenes and I've seen and had a chance to be up close and personal and rub some elbows and have some conversations, we got a hell of a football team that most people really don't give credit to, because everybody has this myth, oh, you can't get it done. Terrence Graves got it done. If you let me say this before I move out the way. Jackson State, of course, I would think, because you got to beat them, but just point blank, period. Like, I'm gonna give respect where respect due. You just got to beat them. They have to lose. When it boils down in terms of the percentage, but I would say Prairie View. Of course, I like our chances, and I'll say JSU as well. I'll take NCCU out of the MEAC. I really like what they were able to do and some of those drives they were able to sustain. And most people paying attention to that game, they don't take in fact that he didn't do anything. I'm not taking anything away from him. He didn't do anything super special he did what he was supposed to do. If he needed to throw the curl, he threw the curl. If he needed to throw the hitch, he took what they gave him and allowed the game to come to him. So I really like what NCCU is doing. They don't try to do too much. They just follow the game plan. Now, back to this, and then I'm done. A lot of people have this misconception that you can't get it done in year one because they feel that you can't get it done. But when you have a group of guys and you have a coach that lays a foundation from the time that you get in there and the expectations that come with being a part of his program, it's not hard to gel. It's the relationships behind the scenes that people don't think about. You're with this guy every single day, whether that's you living with him, whether you're eating with him. And I think the continuity that the guys have, as far as the players concerned, is just a carryover, overflow from what the coaches have that people don't talk about. So like I said, I just wanted to put that in there it just kind of made me think about this in terms of what we can accomplish and what my expectations or what I think could potentially come out our side of the division.
Zach, I see the question here from Mr. Malone. Says, would you still have Southern or should Southern still be considered a favorite in the West?
I don't think so. I didn't have on the favorite even before that game, and I was really unimpressed with their defensive line, especially at defensive tackle. Man, I think that's going to be a real problem against the elite teams on their schedule. I still had them behind PV and Alcorn in my preseason, and I think Grambling could be very, very sneaky and potentially even catch them.
You done brought the crumbling dynasty into this. Why are we even mentioning them? They shouldn't even be mentioned on this show. They have zero chance to do it. Mickey Joseph. Did y'all watch HBCU Coach's Corner, by the way? He was crashing out on HBCU Coach's Corner. Listen, he's gone regardless of if they win 8 games or not. That man's out of there. Him and what's going on in that building, there's some issues right there. Okay. You just hear all this tone. It's gonna be interesting. So now I still think they can start off 3-1, just how their schedule lays out, right? They can start off really nice and then literally crash and burn. But to me, putting your trust in redshirt freshmen is not a recipe for success in this new era, personally. But hey,
I don't think they're going to be playing as many redshirt freshmen as he's saying, because I mean, bro, they returned like almost 20 players on defense that played over 100 snaps last year. And they return a good bit of that offensive line. I think he's kind of giving people the rope-a-dope a little bit and kind of playing it down. But I will say this, I don't think he's going to be there next year regardless, and it's not for the reason people think. I really do think he's looking for an FBS position. And he almost had it this offseason from what I was told. So I would imagine Mickey's going to be an OC and or G5 head coach next year if the opportunity presents itself.
Well, we're going to see if he's going to be an OC based on his play calling this year. So he either going to play himself into a job or he's going to play himself into a positional job. One or the other. But let's get into it, man. Talk a little bit about this season preview. Obviously, last year did not go like we desired. All right, you know what I'm saying? The only thing last year that happened that we wanted was we hired Tremaine Jackson. Okay, that's basically it. That was basically it. Okay, Cash Twins had their conversation with AD Golf. All right, Brandon and the Football Alumni Association put some funds together, and then we hired Coach Tremaine Jackson. That's basically all that went right. Okay, other than that, everything went left field. And so I want to talk a little bit. Hey, listen, I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth. That's about the only. That was the best thing that happened for PV football last year was we lost the UAPB on television. Okay, that was the best. That was the greatest thing that happened to Prairie View football last year. But with that said, I want to revisit a little bit. But before we do that, man, I want to let you guys know. Listen, on Thursday, Bar 5015, we have the coaches show that's going to be at 7:00. Right. Jermaine Jackson coaches show at 7:00. As soon as the coaches show ends, 8:00, man, we got the Labor Day Classic alumni kickoff mixer. All right. Listen, we got I Love PVU, man. We got Yo HBCU raps. We got Section 107. You know what I mean? We got PV versus everybody. We all coming together for this awesome kickoff mixer, man. Make sure you're in the mix. Make sure it's the coaches show. After the coaches show, we're going to kick it, man, and get ready for what's about to happen to TSU and Mr. Carlos this Sunday because he's going to be up on stage with the PV hat on. But, listen, I want to talk about last year, kind of revisit and see kind of just where we were, right, and talk about what kind of how we move forward from here, right? So offensively, you talk about last year, 21 points per game. I mean, that's ninth in the SWAC, right? I mean, at the bottom of the SWAC, right? Talking about points per game. And I'll have these multiple stats here so you can really see offensively the struggles. 19.1 points per game in the SWAC conference game. Usually you almost see where you expect that overall stats would be lower than your conference stats, right? But here we actually have it the opposite way around. That in conference, we averaged 2 less points than we did out of conference. And so we're 12th in the whole conference at 19.1 points a game, right? That's lower than BCU, that's lower than Valley, lower than everybody, right? 27 touchdowns, 20 field goals, right? So only got in, in the box, right? Basically a couple times a game, right, on average. Then you talk about rushing, 113.7 yards per game, only 11 rushing touchdowns last year. That was ninth in the SWAC as well. Passing, 199.7 yards per game, finished fifth there. But look at the sacks, man. 37 sacks surrendered last year. I mean, 37 sacks surrendered last year, all right? You played 12 games. That's 3 sacks per game on average. It's not good, all right?
You ain't lying.
7th in the conference there. And then another stat that I think is vital was red zone efficiency. We were dead last in the red zone. One, we got in the red zone the least amount of times of all teams, right? Only 27 times. Scored 21 of those 27 with only 12 touchdowns, right? And had 9 field goals. So it really kind of shows you, right? There was a real struggle with this team. One, getting deep, right? Getting into the red zone. But also then when you got to the red zone, there was a big struggle of putting the ball in the box, right? And so, Zach, man, when you think about kind of last year's team and what you saw offensively, what were kind of the big issues for TV on the offensive side of things?
Offensive line and quarterback play are like the two that initially come to mind. I thought quarterback play, especially with some of the injuries y'all had early in the season, I think just set the offense back. And I don't think PV ever found its identity. I know you guys had some talent at running back, but because of the offensive line, PV wasn't even able to establish the run, which was compounded by the fact that you couldn't beat anybody over the top either. So like teams toward the end of the season didn't have to respect you. So they could bring as many people in the box as you wanted, but you didn't really have the playmakers to make them pay on the outside. And I mean, interestingly, we love to use yards per play on our site. 97th nationally, PV ranked in yards per play out of like 120 something teams. So super low. I'll be very, very curious to see if Tremaine Jackson can get this offensive line play up because shockingly, I don't think people understand how much offensive talent y'all actually returned from last year's team. Yeah. Even with all the transfers, you guys have like 10 guys that played over 200 snaps last year and a ton played on the offensive line. I want to say 5 of the 10 played on the offensive line. I really do think if you can upgrade at wide receiver and just have better overall offensive line play, man, the offense should be so much better. And it's so important. People don't understand like analytics. If you aren't scoring touchdowns in the red zone, that is like one of the biggest contributors to losing football games. Like I don't even look at red zone rate. I look at touchdown rate, and touchdown rate is like correlates so much with you winning a game. And funny enough, defensively, the best way to tell a good defense is not really to look at yards per game allowed or anything like that. 1 is yards per play allowed, and then 2 is touchdown rate allowed defensively, because a lot of the really good teams like North Dakota State last year was so good. Teams would just go up and down the field on them sometimes, Lionel, but when they got to the red zone, you know what they were doing? Kicking field goals.
Right.
And 7 is more than 3 at the end of the day, and those start to add up, and that's how you win football games. And I think that's really where PV struggled last year.
That's good. I really love that point too, right? Of showing, because when you look at some of the when I look at Texas Southern's game, right, which are 2 of the biggest games, then like UAPB, for example, the yards per carry average in those games were less than 3. I think in TSU game is 1.8 yards per carry, right? And so, you're talking about, I know you guys mentioned on the show the other day too about, the amount of yards before Christian Mosley got touched right out of NCU this past week 0 game against Southern. Well, when you look at that, when you talk about, the running backs that came out of the backfield, multiple guys getting it at the line or behind the line all the time, right? And so that's something that we definitely got to shore up, right? Just giving guys an opportunity because there is talent there, and it is going to be interesting to see, how how Coach Carlson, right, is able to get that offensive line together. He's done some great things in every place that he's been at before. We're going to talk a little bit about coaching too as well, but that offensive line is going to be huge to be able to listen. If even if you look at those games, if we can just establish a run game, a lot of things could have changed, right? But we're never really able to establish a run game throughout the year. And you talk about being able to score in the red zone. First possession, last year Labor Day Classic, Texas Southern turns the ball over. We got the ball inside the 15. What happens? 3 times we don't get in the end zone, and guess what? Kick a field goal. That summed not just the game, that really summed up the season for Prairie View last year. Brandon, man, you're a guy, wide receiver, obviously very dynamic at your time at PV. Able to win a championship in 2009. From your standpoint, right, when you look at the offense from last year, what was some of the issues for you and some of the things you said, hey, man, coming into this year, these things have to be fixed if Prairie View is going to have any shot, right, of even winning the West, let alone winning the SWAC championship?
I'll say I agree with everyone here. We talk about the quarterback play and we talk about the offensive line, but there's a stat that's not on here. I don't think I see it. That'll be penalties, drive killers.
And I did.
There have been plenty of times we were in good position to score, or we have some bonehead penalty, whether that's a holding call, whether that's a offside. So that we had a lot of penalties up front. And if you know anything about having proficient offense, the worst thing you want to do is go backwards, but yet alone have those drive killers, because you can have a hell of a play with the momentum, but if you can't hold your word up front by being disciplined or getting rid of some of those penalties, it's going to be hard for you to win. Because I think there are several times we got inside the red zone. We couldn't get a push up front for sure, but we had bonehead penalties that cost us. And then, I can remember, I'm not sure if it was FAMU game or not, but we got near the goal line and somebody jumped outside. We had like 4 penalties in a row. Like you can't win, you can't be a champion if you're getting 4 penalties in a row after a good play. So I look at the penalties and I look up the push up front. We got to be able to control the line of scrimmage. Because if you can control the line of scrimmage, you can do what you want to do on the outside. Because now you got running backs, they have to account for the running backs being able to be able to gain some yards as well. So I think we have the tools in place for us to be able to get it done. It just boils down to discipline. I know, Coach, I've been at practice. He's been preaching discipline nonstop. I think we have the pieces in place for us to be able to do that, but it's just going to boil down to us being disciplined. Discipline cost us about 3 or 4 games last year. Penalties.
And
I think that's a stat line that I was that, like I said, I just want to point that stat line. We know we got to be up good up front and in the pass game as far as the quarterback, but we got to work out those penalties, man.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, when you play so dadgum undisciplined, it sets the tone for the stage of the play. It really does, because let's just be clear. When you talk about stats are going to be what stats will be. But when you play so undisciplined, it really does set the tone of the stage of the play. Because you can have, like you said, you can have some of the best players out there, but if you play like Jimmy Crack Corn and I don't care, just crazy, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. When you play undisciplined like that, it tends to
make the lines blur.
Let me say this. Especially when you running that ball and you getting them 1st and 10s, and then you get down off and you just constantly getting flags thrown on you left and right, and then you just, especially they run it all the way down, and you get a flag, and then you got to go all the way back.
Right. It
and
deflates.
then you get back and you running it all the way back. Now here we are. We on the 4th, and you got 4th and 57. It's like, okay, what's the point now? You didn't messed up these great runs because you keep getting all these penalties. So now,
but I'm gonna say this: I think it also messes with their psyche too, and I think that's something we don't consider. When they get all the way down in their red zone,
Yeah.
We're looking for a touchdown. If not a touchdown,
And then we cussing them out.
at least a field goal. Yeah, you know we don't cuss them out because that's what we do. But we looking for something. We looking for some points to go up on that scoreboard. But when like I said, penalties, that's what's killing us. And you know, like I know, when we think we about to get that touchdown or get that field goal or whatever, and we get a penalty, offsides, whatever, and we getting pulled back, that's messing with their psyche. And so now we done messed up and we keep messing up. It's like they can't even get back in the game. And then here
Brandon doesn't.
but
But Brandon doesn't get it because Brandon played wide receiver, so he had the conditioning. I played offensive line. Y'all don't get what it's like to be an offensive tackle. We already aren't like, listen, it's tough. We might be in good shape. We run all the way down there and score, and we get a block in the back or a holding. It's an issue in the huddle. Like, I'm upset because now I'm tired, and we don't run 70 yards, and now we got to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, cause see, I sit there and I watch you guys. I really do. I'm not gonna lie. I be hotter than fish grease. I be going off, and I know sometimes y'all can hear us going off on y'all. But I know it don't make you guys feel good. Y'all already tired. It's hot. You know, it's hot in Texas. Y'all got that gear on. Y'all like, and then you think, oh, for being if you done ran all the way down, thought you done did you a whole touchdown. You celebrating. Hold it. Penalty on offense. You be like, God, dog. You be like, what? You madder than fish grease. Now you can't even get your mojo back.
Yeah. Hey, listen, that's huge. That's huge. And you talk about the psyche too. Like, if you looked at the team last year, right? And this is some of the things that are offline, but if you're at the games you're watching, you know, you saw a lot of guys, right, getting at each other. Even you think about the Texas Southern game, right? Think about the arguments that was even seen between some of the guys and even some of the coaches. So you can tell that even from the jump, from game one, there wasn't cohesion there. And so, like you say, right, somebody makes a mistake, somebody gets a call back, somebody doesn't bring in a catch. That argument there, like you say, we're not thinking about also the psychological aspect of it. And, you know, Zach mentioned, right, the 97 spot when you talk about yards per play. Well, we were 120 out of 123 in penalties last year. 120 out of 123 in all of FCS. And so discipline is huge, right?
You said it was what?
We were 120th out of 123 FCS programs last year as far as penalty yards per game. And so, you know, gave up almost basically a football field a game, which is, again, that's a touchdown. So even if everything else is even, we lost because we're giving a touchdown away. So now when we talk about offensively, I mean, you know, what based on kind of, you know, there have been a lot of moves right this year. And I think Coach Jackson, obviously, you know, many people in the comments talking about the 70 transfers. I think Zach already mentioned that even though we had a lot of transfers coming in, you know, one thing when I looked up the stat right there, 16 guys returning to have over 200 snaps, right, total, you know, into the program. So they did do a good job of keeping a lot of pieces that actually played a lot of snaps last year, both on the offensive side and then a couple of pieces also on defense. One is that offensive line, right? You know, what is the benefit, Zach, of having a line? Though there was a lot of deficiencies we saw there, what are some of the benefits, though, of having guys that had a chance to play a full 12-game season, and now you bring 5 of those guys back for the second year?
It's mainly communication and chemistry, man. Like, I don't think people who haven't played offensive line like really understand the amount of chemistry and communication and just how much comfort you have to the guy next to you. So I played tackle. Like, I got lucky because, like, when I was coming up, like, I played with the same guard like up until like I graduated for like 8 years. Like, we grew up to get like I could communicate with him without even talking. That's just when you can look at the guy next to you and know what you have to do on certain assignments and things like that. It's such a weird position because I think even across like wide receivers to running backs to linebackers to defensive line, the level amount of communication isn't the same, right? Because you can be an edge rusher, the guy across from you do the wrong thing, but if the play comes towards you, you could just go make a good play. Like offensive line, even if the guy where the play isn't running to, if the backside defender just makes a good play, man, you can get blown up with all the 4 other guys doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And also, too, I'll say for offensive linemen, it's probably one of the hardest positions to be good at when you're young, too. like in
Mhm.
terms of being like a freshman coming in, just because the level of strength and wear and tear on your body and like what it takes mentally to really be a good offensive lineman is just it's just a different level, man. And that's why you see when you look at these best offensive lines in the FCS year after year, you see redshirt senior, you see fifth year senior, 6 year senior, a fourth year junior. Like you see these big experienced offensive lines. Can y'all name an offensive line that's been top 5 in the FCS
That's
that
good.
has been a bunch of freshmen and sophomore? You might have one or two guys that are good, right, individually. But have you seen a unit that's young and inexperienced be one of the best in the country? You haven't. So I think experience plays the biggest part in offensive line, and the main two things is communication and chemistry.
Okay, that's good, right? So then when you think about Coach T Jack, right, one thing he did do, right, in this spring portal, right, is bringing a lot of older offensive linemen, right? We talk about Dylan Spencer, you talk about David Williams, you talk about C.K. Carter, Calvin McMillan. Brought in a lot of guys that are older, right? That is not even a 21 and up club. It's almost a 23 and up club. It's some positions, right? And so, Brandon, when you look at kind of what has been brought on the offensive end, and also, speaking specifically like for you at that wide receiver room, right? What have you seen brought in that you believe that, man, we do got the playmakers out wide, that the guys in the interior, right, can hold up for whoever that quarterback is going to be, that you got the playmakers outside, though, that can actually make some plays. Because there was a
Well,
lot of wide receivers that were also, brought into the room this year, too, as well.
I'll speak to Zach's point. Though I work my way from the inside out. That is correct. In terms of being able to have a guy that has that many snaps. Playing offensive line. One of my guys, my trainer I used to work out with. He said, being an offensive lineman is like being in a car wreck every single play. So the
Versus,
wear and tear on their bodies that they have to go through is crazy, because it's not just, hey, I'm gonna put my hand on the ground, I'm gonna block the man in front of me. It's,
mm,
hey, listen, I got a decent end I gotta account for, then I gotta get to the next level, then I gotta run down the field. So typically most offensive linemen, correct me if I'm wrong, Zach, they run pretty much in between the time of contact. It may be 7 to 10 yards, pretty much almost every play, depending upon what type of play is called. But that is big for us up front, because that's where we're bad at. I mean, I'm gonna just call a spade a spade. We were bad there, and we didn't have any continuity in that area. One of our best linemen left and went to North Carolina, so that says a lot as well. And then on the outside, I just look at, for me, I don't look at so much the size, and most people may call me crazy, because people don't know the SWAC championship team that I was on. All your star receivers were under 6 foot except for one. So I look at you being able to have right discipline, you being able to get off the ball and being able to work in space, and also had a communication. Because there were times where, you know, KJ didn't even have to say anything to me. I knew where the ball was going. The ball was going to Sean. If it was a deep ball, the ball was going to Sean. If it was third down and 10, the ball was coming to me. If there was some type of play that we need to get something quick, we knew it was going to win. So everybody accepted their position and was happy for one another. I think that's a big thing from what I've seen. When guys score, even in practice, guys are excited for one another. It's not a thing where it's a me thing where I need to get the ball. Guys are blocking on the edge, and that's a big thing for me. Having coached the position and played the position for years, as a receiver, can you block on the edge? Can you be unselfish? Because that one block can take a play from going from 20 to going to 80 for a touchdown. Can you catch the ball in traffic?
yeah,
We had about 7 or 8 drops that first game last
yeah,
year
yeah.
against Texas Southern. So do we have guys that can catch the ball in space, and do we have guys that can to get some yard at the catch? So that's what I'm looking at. I think we have some pieces. It's gonna be eager to see when we get out there. I can't say too much, but what I can say is we do have guys that can catch in space. We do have guys that can get it done. But as the game goes along, that's what I'm looking forward to. Because Zach can tell you those legs get a little spaghetti like after you ran about 2 or 3 go routes, clearing it out for the next man behind you. So I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I can attest to it. Most people, when they look at it, oh, he tired. Like after you run a go route and then you block it on the edge, and You know what I'm saying? You in on stuff like there's a lot of factors that people don't see. That's in tune to the game. And then you just mentally being tough, especially, in games when you're down, you got to make that play. Where are you mentally? So that's what I want to see. Can our guys catch in space
Yeah.
real time? Can they block on the edge?
Yeah, and I'm gonna move over to the defense, but I want to say, right, and maybe you guys just what are you guys' thoughts on this? When I look at T-Jack, he offers a defensive guy. One thing that gives me, and I asked him this when he was at SWAC Media Day, is like, hey, where do you find these offensive coordinators? Because it's like, are you shopping at a certain store or something? Because you've had 3 different offensive coordinators, but he's averaged 36, 36, and 40 in the last 3 years at Valdosta, right? So obviously he knows where to go get them from, and he knows what he's looking for and what he's looking to have guys do. How much of that can translate over to this new team, right? With the new offensive coordinator, Coach Buckner was not there last year, right? But the precedent is that okay, hey, you can go get a new guy and still make it work. How much do you think of that can be infused into this new team? Not saying that, hey, they're going to go average 36 a game or 40 a game, right? But again, if you can increase from 21 and move that up to 27 or 29, right, you're winning a couple more games than you did last year, right? What are you guys' thoughts on that? Is that something you believe can be infused into this program? Because it seems like Coach Tremaine Jackson knows something about picking OCs.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, I really like the hire of Buckner too. Like he's one of those like young up and coming coaches, and he's been successful kind of everywhere he's been as well. And I from what I was told, man, I'm expecting to see a lot of passing just from the people I've talked to that have kind of been around the program, and I'm kind of excited for that. And I think with his history, kind of scouting wide receivers, I mean, you know this, Lionel. I'm really, really excited about 2 of the transfers y'all brought in, the kid from Campbell and the kid from Lamar. I think both of those guys have a really, really high ceiling. And I think the kid from Campbell, especially in Chaney Fitzgerald, extremely excited to see if he gets an opportunity on the outside. I know T-Jack's pretty big on earning your spot, but I'd be very, very surprised not to see Andre Dennis and Chaney Fitzgerald out there at some point.
Yeah, and both of those guys, I think Brandon mentioned it. Their contested catch rate percentage, right, on PFF is higher than all the guys that we had, last year. Again, right, shout out to the guys we had last year, right? But just at the end of the day, you talk about bringing in guys that can catch in traffic. We definitely have that, and seeing kind of what even Jacoby Banks, for example, as a smaller guy, has been able to do in traffic, right, throughout spring ball, fall camp. I think is going to give us an opportunity where we make some plays. And the one thing I like about this system is the quarterback is not going to be asked to hold on to the ball for forever, right? Even with that air raid system, like I always talk about, right, using the passing game as extension of the run game. I think that is going to be something that we see a lot of, and you're going to get guys in space and say, hey, go make a play. And I like our chances there. So let's move over to the defense, and I'm gonna get the cast sisters you in on this, right? When we look at points per game last year, again, we're looking at both sides, and I think it kind of be a little shocking of where we were defensively, because points per game 27.5, right, overall, only 22 points a game in the SWAC, right? Again, not something crazy. Actually, 4th in the SWAC in points per game allowed. Yards per game 364.7. In the SWAC, 334.6. So, again, middle of the pack. You're looking at rushing, gave up 146.7 yards a game, which is 3rd in the SWAC. 18 total touchdowns on the ground, 10 forced fumbles, and 5 fumble recoveries. And then passing 318.7 yards, gave up 17 touchdowns, and had 11 interceptions, which was very surprising to me, by the way, because I definitely thought we gave away more passing touchdowns than that. Because, man, like – so anyway, the point is, right, overall, 6th in defense efficiency. And again, Cash Twins. We talk about this all the time. Middle of the pack. We talk about this being middle of the pack thing, right? 6th in defense efficiency, right in the middle. I think one of the biggest stacks, though, only 18 sacks last year, which was 10th. 10th in the conference. And Zach, I don't know if you have the per play average for the defense. But if you got that, can you share that with us too as well? And then give your thoughts, and then I'm gonna get the Cash Twins on there as well.
65th nationally in defensive yards per play allowed.
Middle of the pack. right? So we keep talking about it. So I got to get y'all in here, man. From a defensive standpoint, right? What was, I guess, most frustrating for you when you kind of looked at the team and kind of what was done last year?
Who you asking?
I'm asking y'all, man.
Oh, you want to know what was kind of frustrating for us while they was sitting in the middle?
From the defensive side of things, yeah.
And first of all, how do I start? Let me count these ways. My frustration with the team last year, as far as defensively, in my opinion, I just didn't feel like they were really that cohesive. And then on top of that, the penalties, again, the penalties were a problem. Let's start there. All this extra holding, like let's stop with the hugging. Okay, let's start there. We don't need to give a hug.
Yeah.
Let's stop that. Number two, my issue with the defense. Now let me talk about the safety. That's I'm always looking at the safety. I keep my eye on the safety. First of all, let me let you. I need for you to quit backing up. I need for you going there and intercept that ball. You're giving too much time, space, and opportunity for that ball to get there. You already know where this fool gonna throw. He gonna throw where your man is. Why are you backing up? Get there, and then as soon as he throw it, you want to get there and you want to go grab him holding. Now we got a penalty. Like, come on, dude. And then on top of that, you slow in the draws. Let's go there. You too slow. Like, be there, get there. What are you doing? The defense was so subpar to me last year. I'm like, in my opinion, defense is what wins games. When you stop the offense on the other team and you get those interceptions, you may be graceful enough to get that ball and run in a touchdown, or just get the ball, period, turn it over, and we got a chance to go ahead, get back on offense and do what we got to do. So therefore, when I sit here and look at these stats, this says middle time all day. We like a freaking burrito. We the meat. We sitting in the middle, wrapped up, all up in that burrito. And we squeeze up out of here. I'm over it.
We a burrito. Oh my goodness.
I said it, and I ain't taking it back.
It was many a days. It was many a days when me and Tracy would be sitting up there watching, and it's just me. It's just me. We will be watching, and when the opposite team, when the quarterback, how they be sitting. I'm sitting way off. You know how the quarterback be sitting like this. You know how they be looking and they getting ready to throw. I call it a predictable throw, because you can look at them and tell where they're getting ready to throw. And here you got the safety. He's backing up. And we looking at him like, you can tell where he's getting ready to throw. You ought to be running to intercept this ball, because you can tell. My nerves be so disturbed, because by the time he released the ball, he should be already in front of him, catching the ball, head in the opposite direction. You feel what I'm talking about? Now, if I'm seeing it, you see it.
Stevie Wonder can see it.
The dead slaves can see it. I mean, I'm confused. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of thing that will kill me as I'm watching the game, because you just kind of saying, what are you waiting on? You see he's getting ready to throw to your man. He's looking right at you, and he's doing like this.
Like they didn't have that anticipation, those anticipation skills just wasn't there, I guess, throughout. The most frustrating, right, was the game against UAPB, because, and I remember asking Coach Bubba on the coaching call specifically, you just had a game against UIW where, Walthall went crazy, right? And then you got a game against, Giovanni Gibson. It's like, hey, how do you make sure that he doesn't go crazy? You got to realize Mekhi Hagan's basically completed 1 out of every 3 passes to one person, okay? Listen, Giovanni Gibson was like, that's the offense, okay? What are you going to do to make sure that guy don't go off like that guy just did? And it's so frustrating watching that game, because the way it's like, did the secondary not understand that this is the dude? Like, that's the guy. That guy over there ain't the guy, okay? Listen, I don't care if he catch 10 passes this game. That guy can't catch 10 passes this game, though, right? You know what I mean? Somebody else got to beat us. Brandon, I mean, when you look at kind of what was brought in on the defensive side, because I think the secondary, and Coach Jackson mentioned, he said, hey, listen, when we got here, we evaluated. We didn't see guys that was in our standard in that room, right?
Mm-mm.
And so they brought in a lot of guys, and a lot of guys in one room that has the guys with most playing experiences is actually the defensive backfield. We talk about the offensive line and then the defensive back, room. That they have a lot of guys that have playing time from a lot of places. You also were able to keep Eric Zachary, which had an awesome freshman year last year. Didn't even get the snaps he should have, because it's clear he was the best defensive back, cornerback on the roster, and he didn't get the time that he even should have got. It was amazing to me to even see that the coaches literally said in the prospectus they dropped that Eric Zachary should have started. Like, I'm just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we all know that, right? And then also you bring a guy like Cameron Amaya, who also had a really good year in the backup role. But when you see what's brought in that defensive back room, kind of obviously knowing it from the other side too as well, what most excites you, right, about that room now, based on what they've been able to bring in?
Man, I would say guys who are ball hawks, and guys who don't mind coming up hitting. There are several occasions last year where we just didn't tackle well. Um, we I mean, we let the ball go over our head. We didn't even know where the ball was half the time. I don't know if it was just a technique where coaches tell them to play through the actual receiver, but we actually upgraded, and then coach went and got some length as well. One of the things as a smaller receiver, you hate going up against a bigger DB, especially because you don't want to get his hands on you. If he get his hands on you, that's hell to pay pretty much the whole night. But I think we were able to get some guys who are physical in this defense that we play. You need DBs that can come up and put their nose on the ball, and I think that's what coach was able to bring to the defense side of the ball as far as the DBs. You got to be able to have some guys that are tough. Coach always talks about toughness and grit, but in this defense, either you're gonna tackle or you're not gonna play. Like, I've seen some guys get pulled in practice because they didn't want to come up, and that was few and far. That few and far between. There may have been one guy, and I don't know if he just really didn't say anything or not say yell at him, but I mean, these guys come up and will hit you in the mouth, and they got some size. I mean, I like DBs, and I told you this was the most exciting. And as a receiver, this was my favorite unit. I like the fact that our DBs can come up and press and put their hands on you, and then I like the fact that they can turn they're athletic enough, have enough wherewithal to be able to turn their head around and become a ball hawk. All of these guys that we brought in, if you go back and look at their tape, these guys have several interceptions, and they don't mind coming up and tackling. Like, that is a nightmare for running backs and wide receivers, because you got to constantly keep your head on the swivel. Because I tell you, that spring game, the way we were hitting each other, and I'm not just saying that, the way we were hitting each other in the spring game, if that's any indication of what we're going to do throughout the season, it's going to be tough on some teams. It's going to be real tough. But we got some length. We got some guys that don't mind tackling. We got some ball hawks on the back end. So I'm excited to see what they got, man. And this is the other thing. Being able to communicate. Like, I see these guys communicate, you know. I didn't really see a lot when guys got beat. You know, guys, receivers gonna make plays, DBs gonna make plays against each other every day in practice, because that's what you see every day. The competition in the room itself, we got like 20 DBs. Everybody's not going to play.
Yeah.
So those guys that we put out there on Saturday night are gonna be the guys that's gonna be special, in my opinion, because I understand what they went through to get there, but that's what I'm excited about.
No, that's big. And
let me say this. Can I say this for one line? I have mad respect for the offensive line, because you guys be taking it. I mean, y'all get beat down, toe down. I mean, y'all be crashing like a wrecking ball. But I love watching the defense. I'm gonna tell you why. Because the defense, when they not performing, it's almost like are you gonna even pinch them? Do something. But when they come out busting, like I'm a bust you up and I'm gonna take your name later. That's the kind of defense I like to see.
Yeah.
This last year's defense, it was like, okay, they were kind of, to me, all over the place. It really wasn't a real true.
It wasn't cohesive.
It wasn't really cohesive. It wasn't real structure there for me. That's just me talking. But when I see it's like as if the offense has to work double time just to try to make up for what the defense is not doing. It's like they got to play both offense and defense, and that's not a team.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw that up in there.
And I think the offense also put the defense in a lot of bad spots last year too. So I think we got to look at these defensive numbers too, in my opinion, right? Also with the reality that, man, the offense in many games could not sustain drives, and so the defense stayed on the field a lot, right? So even with the bad issues the defense had, I feel like looking at the numbers they put up, I'm like, they didn't do as bad as I mean, to think about the offense not being able to score, to not be able to put people in positions to where, they now got to press. Overall, I'm like, okay, I got to kind of look at the defense a little bit different. I just think in spots, and I think you guys have made the great point of saying there was no cohesion from, the front line to the linebackers. It just seems like sometimes things got out of place, and really we got beat over top so much, right? Because of the secondary, I think was really bad. I want to ask you, Zach, because my main concern with this defense, right, is really the defensive line. Do we have the defensive line pieces to where up front, one, we can get enough pressure on guys, especially in the passing game? That's like the one thing I'm like, man, I gotta way back and see, can we do that, right? Because I think, obviously it's a completely different system, and maybe you can also speak a little bit to this, with what Coach Jackson brings over from Valdosta State, obviously being able to watch them a little bit. But can you talk a little bit about maybe the defensive line, even just with that 212 defense, are we going to be able to see them get more pressure on guys up front? Because it seems like a lot of the pressure is going to be coming from that second line, bringing an extra linebacker a lot of times. What's your thoughts on that? And also in terms of this 212 defense, right? Last year, they put up some crazy numbers, right? 9 points a game is just crazy, right? Only allowing 10 touchdowns is crazy. 125 yards passing. It's only 3 touchdowns on the air all year. These are crazy numbers, okay? Now, I don't even think we need to get here to really do damage in the SWAC, right? You know what I'm saying? But, Zach, man, what's your thoughts on just what Coach Anderson, what Coach Early brings to 212 defense, and also that defensive line? What do you think we're going to be able to see, at Prairie View this year?
I'm a little bit upset, man. I was excited to talk secondary with the Twins because
add your thoughts on the secondary too, man, and then you can go into the D line. Yeah.
Because to me, the reason I'm so high on PV is because I think the secondary has like the ceiling for the secondary. I'm not saying they will be, but the ceiling is they could be the best in the SWAC.
Hey, listen. Hey! I need you to say that again. Take out. I'm not saying that. Say it again. So
I think the ceiling.
You're messing my clip up. Now, but go ahead.
The ceiling of this safety, of especially the safety unit, could be best in the SWAC. Like you mentioned, Zachary at corner. Loved him last year as a freshman, and I think if he takes that jump we expect as a sophomore, man, that kid's ceiling is insane. And then also too, you add a kid like Denarius Hollywood from God, man, his film from last year is so good, and he's that ball hawk like the Twins kind of talked about that they wanted to see in the secondary. He's not afraid to go try to make a play, and he might give up something because he's going to be trying so hard to make a play. But if he really locks down his technique, that kid has a chance to also be special. And man, I don't think people talk about y'all safety room enough. I mean, y'all landed a kid in Randall from ULM that was a starter for them last year. Like, y'all added an FBS starter that was probably going to start for ULM this year. And kid played almost 600 snaps, had 60 tackles, I want to say he had like a 15 tackle game last year against Texas State. I mean, the kid went crazy. And then you add William White from Northwestern. And then the guy that I'm really high on is actually Malachi Williams from West Georgia as well. Yeah. And I'll be curious to see if y'all play them in like more of maybe even a nickel. Like I think Malachi has the athleticism to play not just that deep safety, but also that nickel spot. And potentially you can even move him down in the slot and trust him as a corner. But y'all are so deep. I don't know if y'all are going to use him in that role, but I do think he has that. I think for the defense, though, man, you look at who y'all have at defensive coordinator with Brandon Anderson. Listen, every single place he's been, the defense has been elite.
Yes.
Everywhere. I mean, just even go back to when he was at CMU, Well, they were what, like 13? I'm like reading here, 13th nationally, 10th in total defense. He allowed like less than 250 yards per game there. And then even when he was at Lindenwood, they had like 100 average, like 100 yards per game less his first season there.
Mhm.
He's done it everywhere he's been, and I think what is as bad as maybe people thought PV's defense was. I don't know if it was bad talent wise, guys. I
Yes.
think it was more, and this is no offense to the previous staff, because I don't like to take pop shots at anybody, and that's not me saying they're bad coaches.
Yeah.
I think the upgrade in coaching is where you're going to see the difference. Not necessarily, you didn't have to upgrade a talent everywhere. It was Brandon Anderson is so much better of a defensive coordinator scheme wise than what PV's had over the past few years, and that's even going back to Dooley's staff.
Yeah.
Well,
That's just my opinion. Like, I think and offensively, I think you guys have y'all have an OC that might be a little bit less proven, but
Right.
Brandon Anderson does not have that problem.
Right.
Like, he's done it, and I think he has the bones to build an insane defense, especially going into next year. Defensive line wise, though, I'll be honest, this is the spot where, just to be all fair, like, I'm a little bit worried.
Right. I'm with
for
you.
the defense.
I'm with you.
Yeah, which is, I think, is a fair criticism, because y'all don't return anybody at edge. You guys have some talent at D tackle that's coming back, but we saw on last Saturday night, just because you got returning talent doesn't mean that you're going to win the line of scrimmage battle. Because Southern, like you talked about earlier, yards before contact, you said PV was getting hit in the backfield. The North Carolina Central running back and Chris Mosley guys averaged like 4.5 yards before contact for the entire game. 4 yards. So if he just fell down before he got touched, he would have ran for like 80 yards, which is just like the dumbest stat of all time.
It's crazy.
But I do think, I don't know who it's going to be, just because y'all brought in so many pieces. I like the kid y'all brought in from Youngstown. He was more kind of like a rotational piece for them. Y'all brought in some kids that from the D2 level as well. I want to say, what was it? Sparks.
Olajuwon Sparks, I know.
Yeah, which 375 is insane. I don't know if that's like his actual weight or if he's kind of lost some as we got through fall, but 375 is crazy. And if he can still move at that weight, that is just a wrecking ball on the inside. But I really want to see who emerges as y'all's elite edge rusher, because that's where, to me, this defense has not met. Like, when you look at the elite teams, Jackson had two guys in Phillip Webb and the kid that transferred to UMass that could go get the quarterback. When FAM went to the Celebration Bowl, they had elite edge rushers. And Anthony Dunn and I forget who the other kid is. And then even the year before with Isaiah Lane and James Houston and Niles Gaddy, like, you look at Jackson and FAM, who have kind of run the swag, all elite edge rushers. Southern won the West. You want to know what? Kelby Givens was the edge rusher for them. That's where PV's got to find somebody, someone who I don't need 27 and a half tackles for loss and 17 sacks like Givens, but give me a guy who can get 10 to 14 sacks next year and made in like 15 tackles for loss. Give me someone like that, and I'm even okay if you split it between two edge rushers. Give me a guy that can get 8 to 10, and give me another guy that can get somewhere between that 6 to 9 range. Right. If you can give me that, I think this defense takes a step to the next level, and that's where I'm a little bit concerned, because I look at the roster and there's nobody that's proven it at this level yet.
That's the thing, and so I'm with you, right? When I look at the defense, the question I have right now, I think defense is going to be able to stop the run. I do think that, right? You know, from what I see, and which is going to be important, because based on kind of what I've seen with Brandon Anderson and with this 212, you don't really want to be in third and long against this defense, right? It's going to be problems, but I still have that question until I see it. I just don't know who's going to emerge, as you're saying, right, as the guy who can get consistent pressure. Now, I do like the kid that came over from California. You know, in JUCO, he had a really good JUCO season. Gulake, right? You know what I'm saying? He was at San Diego State last year. Didn't really see time at San Diego State, though. But he had a great time in JUCO. You also had a guy like Chris Harvey that's coming over. Again, a great JUCO season. But can those guys emerge, as you're saying, Zach, right, to be guys up front? That's my one question mark. Because linebacker core, secondary, I think we're good in both of those positions. But, man, if we can find the line to be in place, I think it's going to take it to the next level. And really this defense can – because when you think about what we got in the secondary, man, if we can get consistent pressure, the defensive backs are really going to eat this year, right? And so that's the one caveat I got, man. And again, time is only going to tell. Now, I did want to ask, and Cash Twins, I'm going to bring this in because when you talk about coaching, and Zach mentioned this a second ago, and then this is our last thing before we get to the preview of this game coming up, and we'll close it out. But the more and more I've just been a part of this space and really kind of really just digging into the stuff, I keep saying more and more, listen, coaching is more than we've given it credit for. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, even when I just think about what Brandon, you talk about you coaching, right? You know, when I look at, man, the things I've done just here, you know, with, you know, the little leagues and all the stuff like that, right? Listen, man, coaching one player from one coach to another coach, one coach could get out of that player something that another coach could get zero from. Matter of fact, they could have just put him on the bench, don't even look at him again, right? And yeah, he can go somewhere else, deal with another coach, and he can make him an all-star, right? Mm-hmm. So I really think we discount the amount what coaching really does. And when you talk about Brandon Anderson and Coach Early, what they've done on defense, the scheme. When you talk about, you know, Chris Buckner, right, and just where he's been and places and what he's done, right, on the offensive side of things, we obviously know Coach Jackson. And then Coach DG, right? You know what I'm saying? We look at Coach DG, and he has won 10 championships. I don't think people understand this, right? He's won 10 championships. He's basically won everywhere he went, right? And if you look at all of the rooms he's been in, secondary rooms, and how he's elevated them from Texas A&M Commerce to even TSU, we want to talk about that, right? But the TSU room to Valdosta room, man, he can coach the defensive backfield, right? So when you guys look at just this coaching, what excites you about this coaching staff, and what about this staff gives you the belief, right, that they really can do what they're saying that they want to do this year? Cash Twins, I'm starting with you guys.
It really is just, for me, it's the credentials that's behind their names. That's number one. Number two, new blood. Number three, we have coaches that are coming in and they're bringing something different. Same, but something different. They're bringing their own mix. Mm-hmm. They're getting rid of that old crap and they're bringing in their new stuff. And then the fact that they're bringing in something that we have been screaming for quite some time, especially with the last 3 seasons that we've had. They're finally listening to our concerns, bring in the blood to cover the grounds that we need to bring in, hopefully, a championship or championships. One thing I can actually appreciate about this coaching staff is that we have these offensive and defensive coordinators who are actually connecting with these players and bringing in these transfers and bringing in these Texas homegrown players, and they're connecting with these players and they're going to actually do something. That's just my opinion. They're actually connecting with these students, these athlete students, on a level that I feel like the last coaches couldn't really connect on a real level. And like I said, I'm not a player. I wasn't there, but I feel like the connection to me wasn't really cohesive. But I can't wait to see what's going to actually, because I've been hearing nothing but great things from you guys, even from people that I've been talking to over the phone. They're telling me nothing but, like, man, the team, the coaching staff, blah, blah, blah. And so that tells me one thing. They're developing some type of family affair on and off the field.
That's good.
Brotherhood. That's what they're developing. It's respect. First of all, you got to have the respect. Because when you were just, I don't know, was it you or was it may have been you who said, dog, it just came in my head. But anyway, you know how you said where one coach can really coach and they really gel and mesh, as where one, they get absolutely nothing from them. It's all about the respect. Because let's say Zach comes in and he's being a true tyrant, and they be like, man, but he can coach his behind off. He commands and he demands that respect, but he just doesn't have that personal effect with them. As where you come in, you have the same type of coaching style, but you have a whole different type of you can relate to them. You on their street, so they can respect that. It's just how you go about doing it. So that it has a lot to do with it. So just because you're a good coach, don't make you a good person. You got to be a good person. You get what I'm saying? So you can lead a person to the water, but you can't make them drink. In order to make them drink, you got to be an example yourself.
So for me, real gets real. When you come in real and you show real, but from what I've seen of the man, he coming in, he coming for blood, and I could tell he's a pit bull, and he's about the business. He means what he says what he means, and I like that because he's transparent. He's not coming in here with a bunch of he's not coming in here with, let me tell you what you want to hear. That's not what he's doing. He's telling you this is what it's going to be. Whether you like me, love me, hate me, being different, that's not what it's about. This is my plan. This is how it's going to go. I'm coming in here to win a championship. My method is what my method is going to be. Point blank, period. And we're going to leave it on the gridiron. That's what I like. I don't need all that extra fluff. Let's get to the business, because this is what we're here for. And we're here. He's coming to build a legacy. And that's all we want. We want to build a legacy. And what did I tell you last time? We're tired of sitting in the middle.
We're not a burrito.
Yeah.
We try to be a burrito. Brandon, man, before
it's time to get up
this 6-7 game.
Yeah, we done with the chocolate. So I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. And even if my thing is, yes, on any given Sunday, we can make it to the Celebration Bowl. But even if we don't make it there,
I'm still excited.
I'm like this. I'm ready to see us start doing this. That's what I'm ready to come off that plateau, because we done plateaued long enough.
Come off that hill, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So before we get into this Texas Southern game real quick, and close it out, Brandon, you played on the championship team, and you talk about Coach Frazier a lot. What are some of the similarities that you've seen so far with this program and what Coach T-Jack is bringing that reminds you of what Frazier brought when he stepped on the yard?
Toughness and discipline and attention to detail. Frazier was a guy, he was an in-your-face guy. He didn't stroke your ego. He didn't tell you what you wanted to hear. He demanded respect, and that's what he got. But he also surrounded guys around him that were that may be better than him. He wasn't afraid of having guys that have experience, that may have more experience in the area than he did. And I think from what I see, it kind of mirrors being around him and having conversations with him, that it's not you don't have an option to do what you want to do. There are some things that disturbed me on the sideline last year, with guys arguing with players and coaches arguing with players. Like that never happened, because number one, that just didn't happen. Number two, you had leaders on the defensive, guys who would not have allowed that to happen.
Right.
And Zach can attest to that. You have guys on the team that are enforcers, who for lack of a better word, made sure, I put it this way, coach had a saying, police yourself, police your teammates. And that was big for us, because if you saw a guy that wasn't where he was supposed to be, then it didn't take for the coach to have to check him. A lot of times we would check one another. With this staff, you have experience. And this is no slouch, no shot at anybody who just coasting the swag. You have a group of guys who've pretty much been a little bit of everywhere and had a chance to see a little bit something different than outside of what we seen here in the SWAC. I love the SWAC, 100% supportive, but sometimes it helps to have an outside perspective,
right.
To be able to come in and say, hey, listen, it's great things that y'all doing here, but we can do this area better. You got a DB coach that like I say, they all demand respect, and they have an attention to detail that that's impeccable, and that's what reminds me of that staff. Now, I, it I can say so much about this staff, just because you being behind the scenes and having conversations and seeing the things and put the work, but their work and their resume, the twins talked about it, their
Yeah.
resume, it speaks for itself. And I think it's gonna be nice being able to see this product get out here
Yeah.
on Saturday, but just also see how it blooms throughout the year, and guys being able to make adjustments. Like, we did not make adjustments last year.
Yes.
Like, we did not make adjustments at all, but we have a group of guys who have been together, who understand how the other one thinks. I think that's the special part about it.
Yeah. And I know we're switching over, but I want, because I keep hearing this, and Zach, I want to get your thoughts on here, because I know people a lot of times, I see it in the chat even today, where it's like, okay, hey, it's like Tremaine is a first time coach, and I understand it's his first time in the SWAC, but he is not a first time head coach, right? Like, he's been coaching for longer than every other coach in the SWAC. Actually, not even just talking about the West right now, right? I think his tenure, this is going to be his 6 years as head coach. So this is not right. I'm obviously not talking about shots or saying who's the best coach, right? But my point is, he's coached longer than Eddie Robb. He's coached longer than who else has tenure? TC, right? Like, so even when you're talking about, it's the first time in the SWAC, but my question has always been, man, what is in the SWAC that is different than what you need to learn to be a head coach, and to learn to get over the humps, to learn to lead a program that you couldn't get as leading a program or being a head coach somewhere else? And that's the question I still haven't got an answer to. Am I missing something in saying, hey man, you can't discount him as if it's his first time being a head coach, period? Because I think that's what people are doing. People are looking at Tremaine as if this is first time being a head coach, but it's not his first time, right? He's just now in a different conference. But what's your thoughts on that?
I think you get it anytime you have a head coach that comes up from another level, right? Because I mean, even like Kalen DeBoer had massive questions when he got his first D1 job when he was coaching NAIA, and I think it's still fair, right? I mean, I get it's still a different level of football, and it's different challenges, and it's a different conference dynamic, right? Because I mean, when you're at Valdosta State, the goal is to go win a national title, and you have to build your team a little bit differently than when in the SWAG you're really competing for the Celebration Bowl. So it's a little bit of a different mindset shift and things like that. But I understand the criticism here, right? And multiple things could be true. I understand the people that don't think he's a program builder because he went to Valdosta State where they already had a history of winning. But at the same time, what they're ignoring is you get the experience of coaching and winning under pressure, right? Because people forget he went 6-5 his first year at Valdosta, and they wanted him up out of there.
Yeah.
6-5 does not happen at Valdosta State. Regardless, like every single player on the roster could get injured, and those fans at Valdosta expect you to win 8 games. There's no excuse. But then he came back, and you saw what he ended up building over the years. But let's not forget his time. I think this is because he was over there for kind of like 1.5 years because of the COVID year. Yeah. Colorado Mesa wasn't a powerhouse program. In Division II, he went to it. So the team was 6-5 the year before he got there. He was 2-1 before COVID wiped out the rest of the season. The next year he goes 8-2, which a lot of people don't remember this. That included an upset over the number 3 team in the country in the Colorado School of Mines as well. And they had one of their losses was in double overtime, where on the road against CSU Pueblo, where they really and truly should have probably won that game. And so I think Tremaine, little bit underrated, but at the same time, and I think it's fair because it's the same criticism that every single D2 NAIA D3 head coach has faced as they've jumped to the D1 level.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense, man. Let's get to these keys to the game and get it closed out. Now, this is my thoughts for this game. When you talk about the keys, I think there's 3 things, right? Specifically, especially coming to a game where you really don't, both teams are really feeling each other out, right? I think it's just like a boxing match. You might have that first round or 2 where you're really just throwing jabs and trying to check guys' power, trying to really see what guys, how long guys are, right, until you really get into it and get comfortable. So that first quarter might be a little slower than expected, and I think then you're going to see a lot of guys get rolling. I think that could be possible. But I think these three things are very important, man, in my mind. One, who wins the ground game, right? Obviously, TSU wants to run the ball. And even though I do know that we're going to put the ball in the air, I do also know that Coach Jackson still wants to establish that this offensive line is not the same offensive line from last year, and that we're gonna give some space and chances for our guys to make plays. And so, who wins the ground game? Not in the sense of maybe total yardage, but in the sense of maybe yards per carry, right? And how much are you able to move, continue to keep drives going, right? Because you're able to stay in second and short or third and short specifically, right? Whichever team is in third and long a lot more than the other is not going to be in a great position at all, right? Especially, again, both coming in. I don't care what people say about KJ Cooper. He's only played 4 career games in college, period. I don't care what they're talking about, okay? He's played 1 game last year. He didn't finish the full game, and he played 3 games in JUCO, all right? And he's thrown 7 interceptions and 9 touchdowns, all right? That's the ratio of his college career, all right? That's period, okay? So I'm still not a believer in KJ Cooper. I still think under pressure, he put the ball in harm's way. So quarterback question, I think, is still there for both teams. Who gives their quarterback better chances by keeping them in very manageable down and distances? And I think the running game has a big part in that. Turnover battle. Last year was 1-1, right? Who gives the ball away? Who protects the ball? Super important, right? Because at the end of the day, I think that Jackson Grambling game is always one that we point to a lot of a team that really showed that they were better. They were moving the ball all up and down the field, but they kept turning the ball over at the wrong time. And so turnover battle is important. And then listen, special teams, man. Special teams has played a role in the Labor Day Classic a few times over the last few years. And so special teams wise, we haven't had, anybody special in the return game in a long time, right? We're at the bottom of SWAC. I didn't show that stat earlier, right? But 10th in kickoff returns, 9th in punt returns, 7.9 right per game. So now we got a lot more speed, man, on the team, and a lot of dynamic guys that we can go to. Who's that guy that they use in those areas, and can he help to kind of change some field position? Same thing with the Texas Southern on their side of things, right? I know they got a guy like a Trent Leary, right? You know what I'm saying? A very, very elusive guy. Can either of these teams do something special in the special teams arena? Who misses a field goal? Who scores one, right? I think that's going to be really important in terms of the keys to this game, man. I'm gonna go with you, Brandon, first, man. What's your specific keys to the game for this Labor Day Classic?
Getting it done up front, the turnover battle and penalties. Coach Frazier and Coach North used to always tell us, discipline to win you one or to lose you one.
Yeah.
So who's more disciplined when it comes down to this game? I know it's gonna be a little chippy. Everybody's gonna be excited, beating their chest, but who's gonna have enough wherewithal to lock in and not get to make that extra shove, or hit a guy outside of a bounds, or do something stupid that's gonna cost your team a extra, cost that other team to get a first down we didn't necessarily need to. The trash talking. So to me, it's getting it done up front. Your turnover battle and discipline, man. Penalties.
Last year was 90, I think, plus yards for Prairie View penalties to 23, I think, for Texas Southern, right? Only 2 penalties for 23 yards. So that shows you the difference, in that discipline. That's a 70-yard difference. Cash Twins, man, what do you got for your keys to the game?
I ain't got nothing. I ain't on your comment. Don't even ask. I ain't got nothing. I ain't gonna set myself up like that. Catch me next week after
Hey, say tune in next week.
I plead the fifth. I ain't got nothing.
Hey, I respect that 100%. Like, you got to show me.
You ain't gonna set me up. I ain't got nothing.
You say you gonna sit back and wait. You know what I'm saying? Zach, man,
I mean, why lie? I'm not gonna sit, because I'm looking at this and it's just spinning in my head. First thing in my head was like penalties just literally hit my brain. Like,
Yeah.
and when Brandon started talking, I'm like, you know what? No, I ain't gonna say nothing.
It's like you want to say what
I want to say.
you
it, but
want to
I ain't
say
gonna
what you
nothing.
really want to say,
Yeah.
but it's like you want to kind of say,
No, I ain't got nothing.
let your eyeballs do the talking first, because you really want to watch and see what this new team is going to bring before you.
I feel you.
Because
Sure.
if it was still Bubba coaching, the first thing will come out my mouth is we got to watch them penalties. That would be the first thing coming out my mouth. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say we got to watch the penalties. So hopefully them penalties is going to be very much so cleaned up, because that's always the first thing that gives me the fear is the penalties, turnovers, most definitely. And I hope that defense bring the heat.
Man.
Because for one, I don't appreciate, and I'm gonna say this: if Texas Southern is watching, I am going to say this: I don't appreciate. What's that thing? What's that coach's name?
Dishwater.
Dishwater. Yeah, dishwater.
Dishman.
Dishman. I don't appreciate dishpan, dishwater,
Dishman. It's Dishman.
whatever his name is, disrespecting TJ. So since we gonna go there, I know we got friendly rival, but I hope that PV defense run all up and down through y'all's guts on the gridiron and give y'all the trots, and we take the trophy right on back home.
Hey, I liked it. I like. Listen, I like that it's a little test.
We coming to watch dishes on the gridiron in their rented stadium this year. So
listen, completely rented. It ain't even there. It's talking about taking grass. How can you take grass from a place that you don't own? I just don't even understand that statement in the first place.
That's what I got
to work. That's called theft.
Yeah, that's called skill. But listen, I'm happy. I like that it's a little testy. I like that this game it really means something. I think, and I've said multiple times to people, this Labor Day Classic is the most important Labor Day Classic in the last 40 years.
What?
It's the most important, right? TSU feels that they're in a certain place. Listen, Coach Dishman said my 11 is better than their 11. I had to go back and listen again. I thought he was talking about last year. He was talking about right now. He said my 11 is better than their 11. Now, the good thing is I know more than 11. You need more than 11 guys. So that means we're in a good spot, okay? But the point is, right? He talking because he like what he got. That's the reality. So I love it because when we handle business, it's like you can't really say anything because you really like what you had. We really like what we got. And we just, man, we let the chips fall where we may, man. Zach,
like
man,
I said, let the gridiron talk.
What's your thoughts on the keys for this game, man?
Something that I don't think anyone's mentioned is quarterback play. You mentioned Cooper. Can he stay healthy, and what does he look like coming off an injury? Because we've seen a lot of quarterbacks get hurt and not look the same when they come back from a significant injury like he had. And also with PV, you're going to have a new starting quarterback. And Texas Southern secondary is kind of the spot where I look at and I'm like, that they can be had in the secondary. So I'll be very curious to see if PV could take advantage of that, especially with a reloaded wide receiving core. And then, like everyone else said, man, turnovers and the line of scrimmage battle, man, can PV be better up front? And that's going to be the big question, man. Can the offensive line dominate the game like it should? And does the defensive line step up? Because like you said, there's really no question marks at linebacker or even in the secondary. If PV can win the line of scrimmage along with get solid quarterback play, then they should feel really good about getting a win this Saturday.
Hey, listen, I think one thing I think is definitely going to happen. When Coach Jackson says it's going to be a lot, that Michael Jackson song going to be playing, I think Brandon mentioned earlier. That's one thing I definitely think he ain't lying about. Because, listen, them guys hit on the defense. I'm not going to lie with that one. Like, I'm not going to be shocked if they bring in that hat because I've seen them. And listen, that is every time I've seen them, that's been what they're doing. And listen, in practice, I'm like, man, I know them guys ready to hit somebody else because they probably tired of hitting themselves, and then the offense probably tired of getting hit, okay? Because them guys be bringing it. So that's one thing for sure I'm excited to see. But now, man, hey, it's time for score predictions, man. Brandon, we're going to start with you. And listen, I need a score prediction. Y'all can't skimp out on this one. I need a score prediction. Brandon, what you got?
I say Texas Southern 14, Prairie View by 40. I'm just look.
I really believe that, by the way.
No, but I believe it. No, I think 14. I think we win by 20.
So 34-14.
I think we win by 20.
You think we scoring 30? You think we scoring 30 plus?
I think our defense will get. A touchdown out of this.
You know what?
Go ahead.
If we get the defensive back play that we're hoping for, I believe that we have enough to get to get a defensive touchdown. And I think as the game go along, we'll fill each other out. But I think ultimately, as the game go along, and we score, because it's gonna be chippy. I think we'll be able to wear them down towards the end, especially if we get that running game going. We get that running game going, and they can't do anything about it. It's just gonna open up the pass for us. And their DBs, from what I see,
so maybe on the score 38-17. Wow, it's 3 score.
Look, Carlos Sam on crack will light it up then, because
Mr. Carlos, what's your prediction? Put your prediction in there. How about that? Now, Miss Tracy and Miss Stacy, I need a prediction.
Since Dishwater put some negative in our sedative, I'm giving. You gonna put a.
Anybody? Wait. Who in here love chicken? Who love chicken wings? Who love chicken wings? Because I'm gonna order a 42-piece.
Oh,
42-piece.
I'm gonna get a 42-piece, and I'm gonna be generous and give them a nice little. Maybe I may give them a 7 or a 14-piece. I may share a little bit, but I'm just.
Y'all really believe this offense, huh? Y'all really believe the offense gonna come out the gate like that?
I do. I have faith. I have something that Jesus. That's what it is. I have faith. They're gonna go out that offense, that quarterback, they're gonna go out there, they're gonna fill it out a little bit, and they may come out a little shaky, but once they find their footing, it's gonna be down here. And besides, Jackson and the team got a little score to settle, because see, when you get to talking their yam, they say, okay, I got you.
We're gonna let them pinch the scoreboard with 3 punts, with 3 low punts. And we're going to take the rest of it. We're going to let them pinch it. That's all we're going to let them do, get a little paint.
I'm giving them 42-14. I'm
no, you know what? I'll be nice. I'm going to say they'll take 7 points. We're going to take the rest. We're going to let them have 7 points, and we're going to take the rest because, Dishwater, he put some negative in our sedative. We was minding our little business. 42-14.
Negative in our sedative is crazy.
I mean, Lord. Come on. Damn, Zach, what you got? She done got me all messed up. Zach, what you got? My bad. Come on, Zach. Lord.
The real question is,
there's a big chance of rain. They saying the chance of rain is going up to 60% on Saturday. So,
but the storm gonna make them cry. So
keep that in mind.
That will make it easier to pull the grass out the ground, though. I will say that will make it easier to get the grass together to take home. But I really hope T-Jack is petty, and when he goes to shake Coach Dishman's hands, if PV wins, I hope he shakes his hand and has some grass in his hand to give to him.
Oh, that was Zach. What's your cash out? Because I'm sending you some money for that one.
You petty, Zach. You petty. You mean some of that?
What's your cash out? What's your cash out? Because I got to send you some money for that one.
I just hope I hope T-Jack keeps the same energy, but at the same time, if Texas Southern does win, I hope Dishman keeps the same energy too. Like, we got to keep the energy going, man. It's a rivalry game. I love it.
I like the energy.
I love everything about the other day. But my thought was 24-20 PV. I still think it's week 1, man. I think there's going to be growing pains on both sides. Yeah. I don't see a blowout, but I think 24-20 PV. I still think they're a better team right now than Texas Southern. I got more confidence in their defense.
I like our coaching staff.
I just want to win. I just want a W. That's all I want.
Yeah, listen. Coming out of this game, the reality is it's just about getting a win, right? Because the truth is, it's the first game. You're still really trying to see, really, like Coach Jackson always say, right? We need to see us hit somebody else. We need to see what we got. So the reality is, if you come out with a win right now, you basically got 4 weeks to where everybody has to just sit back and wait. Because, I mean, even the non-conference games, right? You got 4 weeks into ground, essentially, right? And that's the next time somebody gets to see you and gets to either to judge you, right, one way or the other. So it's really just about whichever team comes with a win. And again, I keep saying, I think the Labor Day Classic is important this year. So I think whatever team wins this game, is most likely going to win away. That's my personal opinion. But I just think from a defensive side of things, Texas Southern was, I think we're forgetting, they lost a lot of pieces on that defense. And then they also wasn't necessarily a great defense last year either. You know what I'm saying? You know, we talk about middle of the pack. I think they also were that middle of the pack kind of defense as well, right? You know what I'm saying? They gave up some big scores as well. So even with kind of them having some great pieces in the Jacob Williams, Isaiah Bogarty, et cetera, I still think there's a lot there too as well that they're trying to also see what they have. So I think our defensive play is going to be better than Texas Southern defensive play. That's why that's the real reason I think we're going to win the game, right? Regardless of how great the offense is or not, I just don't see our defense coming out and letting Texas Southern just really go crazy, right? And I really think we can stop the run, right? I think we're going to do a good job of really stopping the run, which is what Texas Southern want to do. I got the score 27-13 Prairie View. I mean, listen, I had NCCU with a 2-score victory, ended up with a 3-score victory. So I'm 1 for 1 right now, right? You know what I'm saying? I just don't see Texas Southern scoring over 20 points, right? And I think that's the thing, right? And I think just having a competent, game plan together from what we did last year, and Brandon mentioned it, right? I mean, we put 7 balls on the ground last year. I mean, just doing, and it's not like contested catches, right? We just like literally just wide open dropping the ball, right? So I think if we just even if we smoothed out some of those things, the game last year would have even been a different game. So the game ended up a 27-9 game, but it wasn't like the two teams were like just wildly crazy. I mean, like so separated, right? Texas Southern's not an 18-point better team than us last year, right? So that was a close game. I actually think that this team is better than last year's team. And so that's what I got it, right? And I that's not saying it, is really saying this from a standpoint of I think the defense is really going to start off very hot, because with the continuity from the staff, with some of the defensive pieces that have come over and come in, man, I'm excited about that side of the ball. And so, yeah, man, I got 27-13. I also think we're going to get at least one interception, because even last year, KJ Cooper put the ball in Horn's way. We actually dropped the interception, right? You know what I'm saying? So I also think that's a possibility too as well. So that's my thoughts. Also, Mr. Carlos Johnson next week, he's going to be on Sunday, because he's going to be having Prairie View hat on the recap show. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what show you're going to come on. Recap, you can come on middle show. It don't matter. Whatever you get your PV hat, all right? You know what I'm saying? Just let me know. We're going to be looking for you. But with that said, man, we appreciate all y'all for joining on. Zach, man, appreciate you as a guest also coming through. Go ahead, Brandon.
Hey, so I don't forget, if you don't, I would be crazy if I didn't say this. Hey, appreciate you for having me on. Cash Twins, I hope to see y'all at this game.
We'll see you at the game, baby. I wish we would be there.
We'll be at pitch 20. Look, section 107 will be at pitch 25. It's from 3 to 7. We'll be over there hanging out, so y'all come kick it with us. But on Thursday, definitely, thank you. You already knew where I was going. On Thursday, Labor Day Classic Golf Tournament going on. All the proceeds from all of these events this weekend benefit both Texas Southern and Prairie View directly, their football programs. On Friday, you come hang out with me at the Sneaker Gala. I'm the co-chair for that event. We'll be having a good time, roasting toast. It's like the HBCU SBs. We got some fun entertainment. We got some good food, some drinks, and we're gonna dance and bring your best kicks out. And then on Saturday at 7, that's what rounds out everything that make this event what it is, and it's the football game. So, hey, listen, all proceeds benefit both programs. So the tickets are $150. That's your meal. It's everything. It's everything that you want it to be, because if we don't take care of our university, nobody else will take care of them. So this is a big deal. I'm excited. I got my J's ready to roll. I got my suit ready. I got my bow tie ready. So y'all come kick it with me. But I just wanted to put this out here, because every dollar from the golf tournament, from the Sneaker Gala, all of that money comes into a pot, and it benefits both universities. And being real, we both need it.
Yeah, because one of us ain't even got no stadium, so we do need some money.
The slug.
I also want to remind us, right? listen, we do. You said we need it. I'm saying we do need it, right? You know what I'm
For
saying?
sure.
I need them
But
cigars.
listen, also remind everybody, right? Got the kickoff mixer, right, on Thursday. Coach Tremaine Jackson, right? Coach's show gonna be Thursday at 7. Right after that, going straight into the kickoff mixer. Make sure y'all locked in for that as well. Listen, we got some great events this week leading up to Labor Day, man. We really bringing it back, right, and making it great. I think Texas Southern gonna bring students out. I think PV bringing the students, man. I saw the pet rally the other day. It's gonna be exciting. I think is from what I was told, the game was almost a sellout. I think by the time we get to the game, it's definitely gonna be sold out. And like I keep saying, it was 18,000, I think, last time we played, right? So the stadium fits like 22. So it wasn't like it was even that far off 2 years ago. And you got way more excitement this year, right? With what has been happening this week. So I look forward to being sell out because I want all of Houston there to see what's gonna happen when we come off the hill. You feel me? Because we come off the hill. But Zach, man, tell people where they can find you. Let them know obviously how they can get locked in with you and the great content you and your co-host. I guess I mentioned him because he's in the wrong color, purple and gold. But you and Coach Fred got going on, man.
Yeah, man, you can catch me, Coach Fred, associate head coach at Alcorn, on YouTube at the Blue Bloods. Me and Timothy, the Blue Bloods, on all podcast streaming platforms, anywhere you can catch podcasts. And then obviously the website FCS Football Central on si.com/college/FCS. And if you want even more FCS content, you can catch me with Sam Herder on his podcast for Hero Sports and Craig Haley for the Stats Perform podcast, the FCS Edge.
That's what's up, man. Hey, appreciate you. Make sure y'all lock in with him. Hey, Zach, can we count Peyton Talley as a Prairie View transfer since he signed with us and then with the Nichols? I mean, because they played last week. I mean, is that
he had a good game?
Can we put PV transfer on his name then? Since because he was with us, we had to release him for him to go there. So I mean,
I think you can count him. He had a good game last week.
Hey, I'm just saying, I think that counts. I think when listen, make sure ESPN and all them. Make sure they say Prairie View Peyton Talley when they talk about what he do throughout the year. Okay, that's all I'm trying to say. All right, but with that said, man, we appreciate all y'all for jumping on. Again, listen, tomorrow, y'all already know, man, we got the PV Nation podcast. Them boys are going to be coming on. They're previewing all the SWAC games tomorrow. All right, so y'all got to make sure y'all connected with the YMPs, as we call it, right? You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to be doing some pick'ems, talking about the game, obviously previewing the Texas Southern Prairie View game as well. So I know you guys are going to enjoy that content just as much. But in order to catch that, you got to subscribe, man, and hit the notification bell. So with that said, we'll holler at y'all.